Issues like poverty and hunger and also climate change, many of the statements declare that perhaps they are incited by conflict. How do you perceive the main outcomes of the G20 summit in relation to resolving these conflicts, specifically in Gaza and Lebanon for now?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Um, so we see that the G20 leaders who have met to discuss many relevant issues like, hunger, poverty, apart from that, sustainable development, energy transition, and they aim to boost chance of deal at UN climate talks. And they've also called for rapidly increasing the climate finance. And we see that the G20 countries are responsible for most of the world's emission. Here, if we talk about, I take the five takeaways from the G20 summit. First, we see that in the declarations, leaders have, they have agreed that the world must reach an agreement by the end of the United Nations COP29 climate change, which they're meeting in Azerbaijan on a new financial objective as for how much money affluent nation must give to the poor developing countries. Second, I see that the talks on Ukraine war. Now, the war in Ukraine is, that was dominated in the G20 negotiations. And in their closing declaration, we have seen that the G20 leaders, they have expressed their support for all relevant and constructive initiatives that support a comprehensive, just, and you can say a durable peace in Ukraine. When it comes to Lebanon Gaza ceasefire calls, that is the third point which I could, which I can highlight, take away from the G20 summit. That the leaders of the G20, which includes staunch Israel supporters such as the United States and Argentina, as well as you can say more pro-Palestinian countries such as Turkey, they've called for comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. Now, they stated that the Gaza ceasefire should be, consistent with a UN resolution sponsored by the United States, asking for a, lasting truce in the area in exchange for Hamas release of all captives. It also looked for a truce in Lebanon that would allow residents to return safely to their homes on both sides of the blue line, which separates Lebanon and the Israelis' armed troops. So these are some of the facts that have been
And
brought
perhaps the
up during the
consensus
negotiations. And
are around the importance of humanitarian aid to reach specific or the deserved people in Gaza and in Lebanon.
true,
However, Dr.
that's
Sinha,
true.
if they are not really reaching consensus towards action plans, even specific towards issues like climate change or poverty or hunger, how do you think they're going to reach consensus through resolving conflicts
The
in the Middle East?
I was Yes, I was about to talk about the other 2 points, which was alliance against hunger that has already been discussed, but also the tax, to tax the super rich that has been into discussion in support of the working together to ensure that the ultra high net worth individuals are, effectively taxed. The G20 gave, it was given by the Brazilian president. However, the statement said was a kind of collaboration with full respect to tax sovereignty and entails debate around the tax principles. So these are other issues that has been discussed, but we need to see that how all these issues which has been taken up in the G20 summit are it's basically the negotiations. It's there has been discussions, there
Mhm.
has been talks about it, but how they are going to combat the issues. What is the solution? The final stage comes when a lot of discussion, but what is the result and what is the
Right.
final steps, what is the final product? So let's focus now. The focus is on the solution. A lot of discussion has been made on the forefront, but the solution and the progress has to be the implementation
All right.
has to be done.